Night had fallen. Jungkook and Wyan quietly stepped into the house, their newborn gently cradled in Wyan's arms. Their air was calm, the world hushed as if it too was cradling their new beginning. Inside their room, Wyan sat down and began nursing the baby. The soft sound of the baby's breathing mingled with the gentle rustle of the night. Just then Jungkook walked in, pushing the doorway. Wyan flinched silently, instinctively trying to hide herself, but Jungkook chuckled. "Jungkook, I have already seen everything, love. No use hiding now," he teased softly. Wyan blushed and scolded him gently. "Stop it." Jungkook sat beside them, his eyes tenderly taking in the sight of their child. "Jungkook, his nose and eyes, they look just like yours," he said, his voice full of wonder. "Wyan, but those lips are exactly like yours." Jungkook slid his arm around her from the side, pulling her close as they sat together, their little world warmed in warmth. Suddenly the door burst open and their two elder children, Jungsu and Josie, ran in. "Josie, Mom, he broke my doll again," she cried. "Jungsu, I didn't. It fell on the floor. I didn't see it," he protested. "Josie, no, he did it on purpose." Before the argument could escalate, Jungkook raised his hand gently. "Jungkook, no problem. I will buy you a new doll, sweetheart." Josie's eyes lit up. She threw her arms around her father and kissed him on the cheek. "Josie, thank you, Daddy." The kids left the room still grumbling softly, and Jungkook and Wyan both let out a deep breath of relief. "Jungkook, they always fighting, not a moment of peace," Jungkook said, shaking his head with a smile. "Wyan, but they can't live without each other," Wyan replied, her voice filled with affection. They turned to see their baby peacefully asleep. Wyan carefully laid him down, then returned to bed beside Jungkook. He reached out and gently massaged her belly. "Jungkook, is the pain any better?" he asked, concerned. "Wyan, yes, much better now," she murmured, her eyes already heavy with sleep. A few minutes later, Jungkook wrapped his arm around her from behind and fell asleep too, holding her close in the quiet of the night. Seven months later, Jung-woo had grown so much he could now sit up on his own and had begun making little sound as if trying to form his first words. The atmosphere in the house had changed too. Josie and Jungsu no longer fought over toys or dolls. Now their argument revolved around one thing: who Jung-woo liked more. They were constantly with him, playing, cuddling, and trying for his attention. The living room often echoed with their laughter as they played with the baby Jung-woo, who enjoyed every moment of their affection. Wyan was in the kitchen preparing dinner, while the children continued playing. Just then Jungkook entered the house quietly. Taking off his shoes at the door, he spotted the kids, who noticed him too, but with a playful finger to his lips, he motioned them to stay quiet. He crept into the kitchen and gently wrapped his arms around Wyan from behind. She gasped in surprise. "Wyan, you scared me," she startled. "Jungkook, who else would dare to hold you like this if not me?" Jungkook teased, his voice soft near her ear. "Wyan, you should not sneak up on me like that." Wyan, still catching her breath, Jungkook chuckled and turned her around to face him. His eyes roamed across her face with admiration. "Jungkook, you look different today, in a beautiful way," he whispered. Wyan blushed, lowering her gaze. Jungkook leaned in and kissed her lips, slow and tender. Wyan responded with equal warmth, lost in the brief, intimate moment. Suddenly, the kids burst into the kitchen. Startled, they immediately pulled apart. Josie and Jangsu looked confused, but more amused than anything else. Jungkook sighed inwardly. Can't even get a moment of romance in this house, he thought with mock frustration. Noticing his annoyed expression, Wyan laughed silently. Jungkook leaned in close and whispered in her ear, "You will pay for that smile tonight." Wyan rolled her eyes playfully and, ignoring him, walked away with the kids into the living room. The next day, it was a holiday, a perfect day for a family outing. They decided to spend the afternoon at the park. Jungkook played with Jangsu and Josie on the open field, running, laughing, their shouts echoing across the grass. Wayne sat nearby under a shady tree, holding Jang-woo in her lap. He was waving his little arms excitedly, clearly wanting to join the fun. Sensing his eagerness, Wayne brought him over to the field and sat down on the grass. Soon Jungkook and the older two came and joined her. Jungkook got up a few minutes later and returned with ice cream cones for everyone. They began happily eating, but Jang-woo's eyes lit up when he saw that the others were enjoying. He reached out with his teeny hands, eager to taste it. Josie, let him have a little. Jangsu, yes, let Jang-woo try. Wayne hesitated. It's too cold for him, but Jungkook gave a gentle nod. Jungkook, just a little, he wants it. Carefully, Wayne touched a bit of ice cream to Jang-woo's lips. He licked it curiously, then in an instant reached out with both hands and grabbed the whole cone, shoving it into his mouth with glee. Everyone burst into laughter, watching Jang-woo's little face smeared with melting ice cream and pure delight. They stayed in the park for a long while, playing, laughing, and making memories. A perfect day in the simple, beautiful rhythm of family life. 2 years later, time had flown by, the children had grown, and life had shifted into a new rhythm. Each day was now filled with school, work, responsibilities, and a schedule that left little time for rest. One sunny afternoon, the household was filled with excitement. Jungkook and Wayne's parents had come to visit. The kids were thrilled, Josie and Jangsu eagerly showing their grandparents their toys, while baby Jang-woo, no longer a baby, was giggling in his grandfather's arms. Later, as the kids played, Jungkook and Wayne settled onto the sofa together. Their mothers exchanged a look. Then Jungkook's mother spoke with a warm smile. "Jae's mom, you two haven't really had any time for yourself since the wedding." Jae's mom, "So we have decided something. You are going on a trip to the Maldives." Both Jungkook and Wayne blinked, surprised. Jungkook, "The Maldives? But who is going to handle the kids? They are a handful." Wayne's mom waved off his concerns. Wayne's mom, "Please, we raised you, didn't we? A few days with your kids won't break us." Wayne and Jungkook exchanged a look, a knowing, skeptical glance. But no matter how many times they politely declined, the parents insisted. Eventually, a compromise was reached. Instead of a month, they would take a week-long honeymoon. The kids, of course, protested, but with a mix of bribery, distractions, and promise of gifts, the tears were avoided. At the airport, Jungkook gave one last warning. "Jungkook, I am telling you, you won't be able to handle them." His father laughed. "Jake's dad, if we managed you, we will manage them just fine. You were worse." Jungkook written at the comment and said nothing. With a resigned sign, he took Wine's hand and they boarded the plane, waving goodbye to their giggling family. The Maldives. When they arrived the resort, they were stunned to find everything pre-arranged, the room already booked, fresh flower by the window, and the sound of waves crashing gently outside. Jungkook stepped out onto the balcony, taking in the view of the endless blue sea. A voice called softly from behind Jungkook. He turned and froze. Wine stood in the doorway wearing a stunning swimming suit, the light catching her skin and her hair swaying with the breeze. Jungkook was speechless, staring as if seeing her for the first time. His jaw slightly dropped. Wine giggled at his reaction, then walked past him and stepped into the pool. Jungkook followed. Later, the two sat on the bamboo desk by the water. Jungkook took Wine's hand, gently trailing his fingers across her thigh. Wine gasped softly, looking into his eyes. Their lips met in a passionate kiss. Without a word, Jungkook lifted her in his arms. Their kisses never stopped as he carried her back into the room. The night their clothes lay forgotten on the floor, the soft sound of the sea echoed through the open window. 7 days later, they returned home, feeling refreshed. But as they stepped into the airport, they were puzzled. Why no one came to pick us up? Jungkook frowned. Strange. When they reached the house, the confusion only grew. The place was in chaos, toys scattered everywhere, clothes on the floor, kitchen a mess. It looked like a jungle. They hurried inside, alarmed. Jang-woo was sitting on the dining table. Josie and Jang-soo were eating with their hands. All four grandparents sat nearby, looking absolutely exhausted. Dark circles under their eyes, hair disheveled, clothes wrinkled. Wine's jaw dropped. No one even remembered to pick us up. Everyone looked up slowly, dazed. Jake's dad, was that today? We forgot. Jungkook and Wine didn't say a word. They just sat down and started eating too. A few minutes later, their parents emerged again, this time with packed bags. Wine raised an eyebrow. Wine, wait, why are your bags packed? Are you leaving already? Wine's dad, we have been here for days. Our bodies need rest. We are going home to recover. Jungkook, you can rest here. Jake's mom, no son, home is home, his mother said quickly. Josie, we want you to stay. Jang-soo, we haven't finished playing yet. They pleaded. That was all it took. Terrified at the thought, the grandparents grabbed their bags and made a quick escape. Jungkook and Wine stood there stunned, watching the four of them hurry away like fugitives. Jungkook blinked. That was odd. From upstairs, Josie and Jang-soo's laughter rang out. Jungkook and Wine turned toward them, realization drowning. Wine, this was your doing, wasn't it? Jungkook, you drove them crazy, didn't you? The kids laughed harder and ran out the streets victorious. Wine picked up Jang-woo and looked at Jungkook. They both sighed and said unison, back to real life again.